First Contact and Betrayal. Commander Elena Rice stood at the observation deck of the UES Horizon, Earth's most advanced deep space research vessel. Through the reinforced glass, the swirling gases of the nebula NGC 4728 painted cosmic artwork across the void. 6 months into their mission to chart unexplored regions beyond the Kuiper Belt, Elena's team of scientists and explorers had already cataloged dozens of new exoplanets and astronomical phenomena. "Commander, you need to see this." Lieutenant Zheng's voice crackled through the comm. The urgency in his tone pulled Elena away from the mesmerizing view. In the sensor lab, Zheng pointed to an anomalous reading on the holographic display. "We detected this signal 3 hours ago. It's artificial, Commander. Definitely not natural." Elena's pulse quickened. Direction. Coming from the 4th planet in the system we just entered. And Commander, it changed pattern when our probes began scanning. It's responsive. Within 12 hours, the UES Horizon had established orbit around a rust-colored planet with twin moons. The signal continued, now clearly a beacon. Elena assembled her first contact team. Herself, xenobiologist Dr. Patel, linguist Dr. Okafor, and Security Chief Captain Morgan. "Remember protocol," Elena instructed as they boarded the shuttle. "We represent all of humanity. Let's make a good impression." The shuttle descended through wispy clouds, landing in a valley surrounded by crystalline formations that resembled trees, but gleamed like polished metal. The air was breathable, though thinner than Earth's. As the team stepped onto the alien soil, shapes emerged from behind the crystal structures. The Vortani, as they later called themselves, stood nearly 7 feet tall with iridescent blue skin that shifted patterns like flowing water. 4 arms extended from torsos supported by digitigrade legs. Their faces featured 6 eyes arranged in a circle around a central speaking apparatus. "Remarkable," Dr. Patel whispered, activating her recording devices. The first words between species came through Dr. Okafor's translation matrix after hours of algorithmic processing. The Vortani welcomed the humans with curiosity rather than fear. They explained they were scientists themselves, studying the nebula from their research outpost. Over the next 3 weeks, cultural exchange flourished. The Vortani showed remarkable intelligence and technological sophistication. They shared knowledge of stellar phenomena unknown to human science. In return, Elena's team offered insights about Earth and humanity's journey to the stars. "Their quantum entanglement communications are centuries beyond ours," Dr. Patel reported during a briefing. "And their biomechanical integration is nothing short of miraculous." Elena nodded. "The Vortani ambassador, Zilix, has invited us to their main research facility tomorrow. They'd want to demonstrate their medical technology." Captain Morgan frowned. "I still think they're being selective about what they share. Have you noticed how they deflect questions about their homeworld?" "First contact requires patience," Elena countered. "We've only known them 3 weeks." The next day, Zilix guided the human team through a complex nestled within a mountain. Gleaming laboratories housed technology that defied human understanding. The central chamber featured a massive crystalline structure Elena could only describe as a computer, though it seemed partially organic. "We wish to demonstrate our healing capabilities," Zilix announced through the translator. "Your species suffers physical trauma that we can repair." Elena stepped forward. "I volunteer. I have an old shoulder injury from military training." Zilix's skin patterns shifted rapidly. "Excellent. Please extend your arm." Elena removed her jacket and stretched out her right arm. The Vortani scientists gathered around, placing a translucent device over her shoulder. Warmth suffused her muscles as pain she carried for years melted away. "Remarkable," she breathed, rotating her shoulder with newfound freedom. "We would now like to sample human physiological response," Zilix said. "A simple nervous system test." Before Elena could respond, 2 Vortani technicians grasped her left arm with surprising strength. Another approached with a device that emitted a blue light. "Wait," Elena said, suddenly uneasy. "What exactly are you testing?" Captain Morgan reached for his sidearm, but froze as Vortani guards materialized from hidden chambers, brandishing crystalline weapons. "Your species represents a unique biological template," Xylix explained, voice now cold and clinical. "We require comprehensive sampling." The blue light intensified, and Elena screamed as searing pain shot through her left arm. She watched in horror as the beam precisely severed her arm just below the elbow. The limb was immediately encased in a preservation field and whisked away by Vortani technicians. "How humans respond to trauma will determine your usefulness," Xylix stated flatly. Chaos erupted. Captain Morgan fired his weapon despite the odds, creating momentary confusion. Dr. Patel administered emergency medical nanites to stop Elena's bleeding, while Dr. Okafor grabbed her intact arm and pulled her toward the exit. "Run," Morgan shouted, providing covering fire as crystalline projectiles shattered the lab equipment around them. The team fought their way back to the shuttle, half carrying their wounded commander. Vortani pursuers emerged from the facility, but the shuttle's defensive systems kept them at bay long enough for an emergency liftoff. Aboard the Horizon, Elena drifted in and out of consciousness as the medical team stabilized her condition. When she finally regained lucidity, her left arm ended in a bandaged stump. "They were studying us," she whispered, throat raw from screaming. "Like specimens." Dr. Patel nodded grimly. "Not just studying. They've launched ships from the far side of the planet. Small vessels at first, but our long-range sensors detect larger craft activating within the system." "We need to warn Earth," Elena said, struggling to sit up. "This wasn't about cultural exchange. They were assessing our threat level." The Horizon broke orbit at maximum acceleration, but not before detecting a massive energy signature from the Vortani facility. Something was powering up, something that made the ship's sensors spike off the charts. The journey back to Earth became a race. Elena spent the months in recovery, working with engineers to adapt to a prosthetic arm, while studying the data they'd gathered on Vortani technology. Every transmission they intercepted confirmed her fears. The aliens were organizing a fleet. 6 months after their escape, the Horizon reached Earth orbit. Elena stood before the United Earth Defense Council, her new biomechanical arm, inferior to what the Vortani possessed, but functional, gleaming under the chamber lights. "The Vortani aren't explorers," she testified. "They're harvesters. They collect biological samples from species they encounter, studying them for weaknesses and useful genetic traits. And now they're coming here." Admiral Caffrey, head of Earth's Defense Forces, leaned forward. "Your recommendation, Commander Reyes." Elena's face hardened. "Prepare for war, Admiral. The Vortani severed my arm to study human pain threshold and healing capacity. They'll do worse to our planet if given the chance." Within days, Earth's dormant military apparatus roared to life. Colony ships were recalled from the outer system. The orbital defense grid, constructed decades earlier as a deterrent against interfaction human conflict, was reinforced and expanded. Elena worked tirelessly with R&D teams, applying her first-hand knowledge of Vortani technology to develop countermeasures. "Their weapons operate on principles similar to their medical technology," she explained during a briefing. "They manipulate matter at the quantum level." 3 months after the Horizon's return, long-range sensors detected the first Vortani ships entering the solar system. Massive vessels that dwarfed anything in Earth's fleet, they moved with precision that defied conventional physics. "They're coming," Elena said, watching the tactical display from the bridge of the UES Defiance, Earth's newly commissioned flagship. Her severed arm had become a rallying symbol for humanity's resistance, and they have no idea what they've awakened. As the Vortani fleet approached Mars orbit, humanity prepared to defend everything they had ever known against an enemy that had gravely underestimated them. Humanity's response and victory. The Vortani fleet hung in high Mars orbit, 27 massive ships arranged in a precise geometric formation. Each vessel stretched nearly 2 kilometers in length, their hulls rippling with the same iridescent patterns as Vortani skin. Earth's combined military forces gathered at the L4 and L5 Lagrange points, a mere 150 vessels against the alien armada. On the bridge of the UES Defiance, Commander Elena Rice studied tactical projections with her remaining organic hand, while her prosthetic arm interfaced directly with the ship's systems. "They're scanning our fleet," reported Lieutenant Zhang, now serving as her tactical officer, "assessing our capabilities." "Let them look," Elena replied. Admiral Katri, status of Operation Prometheus. The Admiral's hologram appeared on the command table. Phase 1 deployment complete. Waiting on your signal, Commander. Transmission cut through all channels, visual, audio, and digital. The face of Zilix, the Vortani who had taken Elena's arm, appeared on every screen. "Humans of Earth," the alien's voice reverberated with artificial precision. "Your biological and technological assets will be harvested for the greater Vortani consensus. Your resistance has been calculated and found insufficient. Surrender your orbital platforms and planetary defense systems, and we will ensure your species survives in controlled preservation zones." Elena stepped forward, making sure her severed arm was visible in the return transmission. "This is Commander Elena Reyes of United Earth Defense. You stole a part of me, thinking you understood humanity. You don't. Here's our answer." She cut the transmission with a gesture from her prosthetic hand and turned to her bridge crew. "Initiate Operation Prometheus. All ships, execute Jump Protocol Zeta." Across the Earth fleet, quantum drives engaged simultaneously, technology reverse-engineered from data gathered during the Horizon's encounter. The human vessels vanished from their formation, reappearing at precise coordinates around the Vortani fleet. "They're confused," Zhang reported with satisfaction. "Their formation is breaking." "Deploy QEM disruptors," Elena ordered. From each human vessel, specialized projectiles launched toward the Vortani ships. Upon impact, they unleashed quantum electromagnetic pulses specifically calibrated to the frequency of Vortani technology. The alien shields flickered and failed. "Phase 2, Elena commanded. From Earth's surface and the dark side of the moon, massive rail cannons that had been constructed in secret during the 3 months of preparation fired in synchronized salvos. Hypervelocity projectiles struck 5 Vortani ships, fracturing their hulls. The alien fleet responded with devastating energy beams that sliced through 3 human vessels like butter. The battle erupted across the Martian orbital plane, a dance of destruction as humanity fought with desperate innovation against overwhelming technological superiority. "They're targeting our command ships," Zhang shouted as the Defiance shuddered under a glancing hit. "As expected," Elena replied calmly. "Execute Hydra Protocol." Across the fleet, command functions decentralized instantly, distributed among all surviving vessels. When the Vortani destroyed the apparent flagship UES Intrepid moments later, they gained no tactical advantage. The battle raged for hours. Human ships fell by the dozen, but each took their toll on the massive alien vessels before being destroyed. The Vortani, clearly unprepared for such fierce resistance, began to withdraw toward the outer system. "They're regrouping," Admiral Capri reported. "We've bloodied their nose, but this is just the beginning." Elena nodded grimly. "Initiate Phase 3. Throughout the solar system, stealth platforms that had been positioned months earlier revealed themselves, unleashing swarms of autonomous combat drones. These machines, each barely larger than a human hand, approached the damaged sections of Vortani ships and began to infiltrate through breaches in their hulls. "Trojan horse deployed," Elena confirmed. "Now we wait." Inside the alien vessels, the drones navigated to critical systems and attached themselves to the biomechanical interfaces. They began transmitting a signal modeled after the Vortani's own neural patterns, but carrying a computer virus developed using Elena's prosthetic arm as a template. The virus disrupted the quantum entanglement communications that coordinated the fleet. On the central Vortani command ship, Zilix received alarming reports from across the fleet. Ship after ship reported failing systems and unexplained behaviors. The elegant biological algorithms that had served the Vortani for centuries were being corrupted by something that understood their fundamental structure. Impossible, Xylix hissed, skin patterns flashing in distress. Their technology is primitive. We appear to have miscalculated, another Vortani commander replied. The human response exceeds all predicted parameters. In the midst of their confusion, the second phase of humanity's counterattack began. From bases on Mars, Ceres, and Europa, colonies the Vortani had not detected due to sophisticated camouflage, a new wave of human ships emerged. These vessels, smaller but more numerous, swarmed the disoriented Vortani fleet. All ships target their propulsion systems, Alina ordered. Disable, don't destroy. We want prisoners. The human swarm tactics overwhelmed the larger alien vessels, whose weapons were designed for capital ship combat, not intercepting hundreds of nimble attackers. One by one, the massive ships found themselves immobilized, unable to coordinate defense against the multi-pronged assault. 7 hours into the battle, Alina received the transmission she'd been waiting for. "Commander, we've breached the Central Command vessel," reported Captain Morgan, who led the boarding party. "Their internal defenses are compromised." "Find Xylix," Alina ordered. "I'm coming aboard." Against all protocols and the vehement objections of her staff, Commander Reyes transferred to the assault shuttle. 20 minutes later, she stepped onto the deck of the Vortani flagship, surrounded by the alien technology that had once taken her arm. The central command chamber was a chaotic scene. Human Marines secured Vortani officers, while technical specialists worked to stabilize the ship's failing systems. In the center, held at gunpoint, stood Xylix. "You calculated incorrectly," Alina said, approaching the alien commander. Her prosthetic arm, now interfaced with a portable device, glowed with the same blue light that had severed her limb months ago. "Impossible," Xylix's translator conveyed. "Your species was assessed as pre-quantum. Your biological resilience was noteworthy, but your technology was inferior." Alina smiled coldly. "You made a fundamental error. You judged us by what we had already built, not by what we could create when threatened. Humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology, it's our adaptability." She raised her prosthetic arm. "You took my limb to study us. In return, we're taking your fleet to study you. The difference is, we won't be destroying your civilization in the process." Across the solar system, the remaining Vortani vessels surrendered as news of their command ship's capture spread. Earth had lost nearly 60% of its fleet, but humanity had achieved what the Vortani had calculated as impossible: total victory against a technologically superior force. In the aftermath, humanity's standing in the galaxy fundamentally changed. The Vortani, it was discovered, were merely one expansionist species among many in the local stellar neighborhood. Their defeat at human hands sent shockwaves through interstellar politics. 6 months after the Battle of Mars, Alina stood before the United Earth Council again, this time to present the findings from studying Vortani technology. "Their quantum entanglement communications have been successfully reverse-engineered," she reported. "We can now communicate instantaneously across the solar system. Their biomechanical interfaces have revolutionized our medical technology. Ironic, considering how we acquired them." She flexed her new arm, now rebuilt with Vortani principles, but human innovation. It moved with perfect natural precision, indistinguishable from her original limb, except for a faint blue glow at the joints. "Most importantly," she continued, "we've decrypted their stellar charts. There are at least 12 spacefaring civilizations within 50 light-years of Earth, some friendly, some not. The Vortani were considered mid-tier among them." Admiral Katri leaned forward. "Your recommendation, Commander Reyes." Alina's expression was resolute. "We prepare, Admiral. We learn from the Vortani's mistake. We never underestimate any species we encounter, and we make it clear to the galaxy that humanity is not to be trifled with." As the council session ended, Alina gazed through the chamber skylight at the stars above. Somewhere out there, other civilizations were receiving news of humanity's unexpected victory. Some would be curious, others fearful. All would be reassessing their calculations about the species that had defeated the Vorteni against impossible odds. They had taken her arm, thinking they understood humanity's limitations. In return, humanity had taken their entire fleet, and with it, their place among the stars.